To Brian's point, how can we solve problems if we can't even speak to one another? That's why Stand Together partners with dozens of social entrepreneurs who are developing new approaches to help people connect with one another and see that despite our differences, we all do share some common ground. And if we focus on finding that, we can solve problems together and help everyone rise. One of those partners is Narrative 4. They connect people from wildly different walks of life through a program that allows them to discover through productive dialogue that perhaps there is more that unites us than divides us. Narrative 4 co-founders Colin McCann and Lisa Consiglio are here with us today. Let's give them a warm welcome. They realized that empathy is powerful, and they put the empathy in their school into action. The performance of their students has gone up dramatically since implementing Narrative 4. And now we have the opportunity to apply that lesson to the issues that are dividing our country. Empathy into action. When we realize that on every issue, there are real people, real lives, people with dignity, we see that there's a lot more common ground on finding solutions than we had imagined. Now, what does it look like when you apply this approach to probably the most divisive issue in our country? Immigration. Everyone knows the immigration system is broken. It is a lose-lose situation that's hurtful to the American citizen and immigrants alike. It keeps out too many good people who would contribute to this country. And by doing so, it incentivizes illegal entry, making it harder on our border enforcement officers to keep us safe. But instead of a productive conversation on how to fix this, we get this. Extremes. Voices on one side, protesting to abolish the federal agency that enforces our immigration laws. #abolish ICE. That doesn't make sense. We need enforcement. Voices on the other side, protesting to close the border. That would wreak havoc on our future progress and further incentivize illegal entry. This makes productive, reasonable positions difficult to break through. And let me show you what I mean. Our position is that it's possible to reform the immigration system so that we can have more immigrants contributing to America while increasing security at our borders. Because the most effective way to keep bad people out is to allow good people in. That way we know who's here. They're following laws, paying taxes like everybody else. And it allows our Border Patrol to focus enforcement on the truly dangerous individuals. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? But that position, because the conversation is so extreme, gets mischaracterized as open borders. That's crazy. We are not for open borders. We are for fixing the immigration system so that good people can come in and bad people are kept out. Respecting the dignity of every person and securing our borders are not mutually exclusive. We can have both. And anyone who is telling you otherwise is not interested in actually solving this problem. Consider just one subset of the issue, the inaction with dreamers. Dreamers are people who were brought here as children, have since grown up in America, contributing to their communities. They have been screened by the government. Many have served in the military. They pay an estimated $3 billion in taxes annually. Polls show that Americans support dreamers by upwards of 80%. But Congress has been unwilling to act. And today, the dreamers face deportation back to countries they barely know. And America is missing out on their full contributions to our local communities. So why is nothing getting done? Last year, I was speaking with a congressman who admitted that he and many of his colleagues had not even had a conversation with a dreamer. Lack of empathy, lack of action. So we set out to change that. We flew in over 50 Dreamer and community leaders for a national press conference on the very steps of the US Capitol. The event brought together religious and community leaders, national advocacy groups that span the political spectrum, Forward, Unido US, the US Chamber of Commerce, National Immigration Forum, and others. Members of Congress got to meet one-on-one with these dreamers. Dreamers sound an awful lot like you and me, don't they? Perhaps more so than we even expected. And that sort of respective dialogue is changing the conversation. When members of Congress got to meet with these dreamers, policymakers who otherwise were not even taking our meetings began to open their doors. Empathy into action. And working with a diverse coalition means that new opportunities are arising as well. Here we are earlier this month, ringing in the bell at NASDAQ, thanks to a partnership with Microsoft, which provided a platform to advocate and amplify the voices of dreamers on a national level and to new audiences. And this fall, we're teaming up with many more partners to launch a major new campaign to build more empathy and spark further action. We have a ways to go, but the momentum is on our side, because this problem is not going to go away until someone fixes it. And thanks to your partnership, we are in a key position to be part of that solution. And that's the last thing I want to leave you all with. It's that moment when I realized that we could actually get this done. The night before that national press conference on Capitol Hill, it was around 9 p.m. I received a text. Is it too late to join you? It was the leader of one of the most prominent national advocacy groups. And they were still hesitant to stand with us that day because, quite frankly, it's still an uphill battle. And they were likely to face backlash from their more partisan allies if they did stand with us. So why risk it? But even at that last moment, they did risk it. And I know why they did. Because we're not asking anyone to compromise their principles, the same as we would never compromise ours. Uniting with anyone to do right is not about compromising your principles. It's about making progress by standing firmly on them. The approach that we are taking here is how we achieved veterans' health care reform. It's how we achieved FDA reform for terminally ill patients, and it's how we achieved reform in criminal justice. The same blueprint every time. Bridge divides, build respect, find that common ground. You are offering good people who want to get good things done the path to actually do it. Thank you.